Hi, welcome to Old English Outfitters YouTube. I'm Alan. So we've been doing a lot of reviews on 9mm pistols, especially concealed carry guns, things like that, because, hey, they're popular, right? Everybody uses those kinds of things. The whole concealed carry thing has remained very popular throughout the years and typically accounts for some of our best sellers. But we thought, you know what, let's do something different. Let's shoot something maybe a little heavier this time. So we got ourselves a Springfield Armory XDM. Now the XDM has been made in 9mm, it's been made in 45 ACP, but last year Springfield started making these in 10mm. So we got a 10mm XDM. If you know anything about Springfield and you've looked at the XDM series, you know the M stands for match. They put some really good components in these things. They have good triggers, they have match grade barrels, and they typically shoot really, really well. The platform itself, this particular one, and they make a couple of these XDMs in 10mm, okay? You got some different barrel lengths. I'm going to close the slide on this one. It's empty and safe. This is a 5 1/4 inch barrel, 10mm XDM. We got a fully adjustable rear sight and a fiber optic front. That's a nice combination. The rear sight's black. There's no dots on it, which really draws you up to that front sight, which is where you want to be anyway. You know this, right? When you're shooting, trying to be precise. The M series has a loaded chamber indicator that stands up on top of the slide. We got nice rear cocking serrations. We got some front cocking serrations. We've got a cutout on top up here of the slide, which just helps balance things out a little bit, okay? You've got a standard length recoil spring and guide. You can actually push this back. If you're an old-fashioned press checker, you can do that, or you can just ease it back with the cocking serrations, which arguably is safer, okay? Rail on the dust cover. Some checkering front and back. By the way, these back pieces, the XDM comes with 3 of these. We got kind of a medium size that's on it, and we get a smaller and we get a bigger one. So you can change this out. You got to drive the pin out, but then you can change this piece right here, okay? Magazine release is ambidextrous. It's on both sides. It's a good button. It's not easy to hit. You got to push it good, but it works really well. It kicks the magazines out with some force. Slide lock and release levers only on one side. And that's common for the XD and XDM series. Grip or palm safety. Again, common for the XD and XDM series. And when the thing is loaded, the striker protrudes out the back of the slide just a little bit, which serves as a cocking indicator. Tells you that you're actually cocked and ready to shoot. In addition to the grip safety, or palm safety as Springfield likes to call it, you got the internal lock that holds the firing pin in place. You got the centerpiece on the trigger. So if the gun was dropped, it can't let the trigger move far enough to disengage that internal safety. So common features that you find on striker-fired guns. This comes with one of Springfield's hard cases. Comes with the back straps. Springfield XDs and XDMs these days come with a test target. This is the one that came with this one. It's pretty good. There are 5 rounds there, 2 in that upper hole right there. Our experience with it was that the sights were perfectly regulated and it shot really, really well. It also comes with not 1, not 2, but 3 15-round double stack magazines. The XDM has always been best in class for magazine capacity in almost any caliber it's in. 40 caliber, which is what 10mm is. As far as bullet diameter goes, it equates to 40 caliber, right? So it's not as big a round as 45, so you can get a lot of them in there. 15 rounds in those magazines, and you get 3 mags. So you can put a whole box of ammo just about in your gun. Shooting impressions. When you talk about the 10mm, you're talking about a cartridge that was designed by Jeff Cooper back in 1983. And his purpose in designing it was to develop a cartridge that would hit harder than a 9mm, and in some loads even harder than a 45 ACP. But specifically because he was going with a 40 caliber bullet that was moving faster, he was looking for a flatter shooting round than a 45 ACP, flatter trajectory. In full power loads, 10mm sets between 357 and 41 Magnum in power, closer to the 357 end, but still pretty good. And it's become very popular with people for defense against animals, large animals like bears, potential predatory animals in the wild. As you probably know, I'm not getting into the weeds about the whole history of the cartridge, but the FBI started using it, discovered that the full power loads were just too much for most of their agents. So they downloaded it, and it became, 10 millimeter became the parent cartridge to the very popular 40 Smith & Wesson, which is essentially just a shorter 10 millimeter. A 9 millimeter length cartridge and a 40 Smith & Wesson are the same physical length, so you can put them in a smaller platform gun, which is helpful when you're trying to equip large numbers of people, especially if those people are not necessarily gun folks, okay? They need a gun, they need something good that's going to work, but they're not going to be avid shooters. 10 millimeter, remember Jeff Cooper designed it. He was always a big fan and proponent of the 45 ACP. So 10 millimeter and 45 ACP are the same length, which is longer than 9. All right, so you need a bigger gun to put it in. That's why you usually find it in 1911 size platforms that could also handle 45 ACP length. The XDM is big enough to do that. This is the same frame size that you'd find in a 45 caliber version of the XDM. We shot two different power levels of 10 millimeter ammunition. Okay, we shot 180 grain bullets in both. One we shot was Winchester ammunition. It was rated at about 1,050 feet per second. So that's relatively mild for this cartridge range. The other was some Fiocchi that was rated at 1,250 feet per second. So now you're getting up into that range that 10 millimeter started at. Okay, good powerful cartridge. Both cases we used 180 grain bullets. The cartridge itself, there's actually some 200 grain bullets made for it by a couple of different companies. We didn't have any of those to shoot, but that's going to get a pretty good wallop on the end of this thing. 180 is pretty common in this caliber. And if you think about the parameters it was designed for, it makes perfect sense. It's much heavier than a 9 millimeter, not as heavy as a 45 ACP. In fact, some of the 45 ACP loads go down to like 185 grains, so you're in that lower end bullet weight wise, but you're much faster. So the Winchesters at 1,050 were very comfortable to shoot, very controllable. Sights perfectly regulated. We had no problem hitting the targets. And what did we shoot at? Well, we didn't shoot at paper. We shot at our steel plates like we usually do. And then we picked off a couple of targets of opportunity that were laying on the backstop, okay? Expended shotgun shells. No problem hitting those and hitting right on them. The thing you notice about those 180s is they really hit those steel plates hard, all right? So then we went to the Fiocchi ammunition, 180 grain full metal jacket at 1,250 feet per second. Noticeable difference in recoil, but not at all uncomfortable to shoot. Very, very comfortable in this platform. Noticeable difference, not going to shoot quite as fast because you got a little more muzzle rise, but still very comfortable to shoot, didn't beat us up at all, and no problem hitting the targets. And at the range we were shooting at, not terribly far, no big difference in point of impact either. Lots of fun actually to shoot. It was really, really fun to shoot something that's got that kind of power range in it. Really rock those steel targets when you hit them with that 180 grain stuff at 1,250 feet per second. Which brings up a point. 40 caliber, now we live in Ohio, right? 40 caliber is a straight wall cartridge. It's legal in a handgun for deer season as long as you have at least a 5-inch barrel. You got a 5 1/4-inch barrel here. So if you were looking for a semi-automatic to deer hunt with, you might look at this one. Would be a good choice. 10 millimeter is an interesting cartridge in a couple respects, and a lot of it has to do with that power range. Sometimes in semi-automatic platforms in the past, it hasn't always shown the very best reliability. Springfield Armory, when they decided to put the 10 millimeter in the XDM platform, they advertised that they tested this platform right here to 10,000 rounds with no failures. That's pretty impressive. Chances are you buy one of these, unless you're a really dedicated competition shooter or you're using it for some really high volume purpose, chances are you're not going to put 10,000 rounds through this thing. So it's going to hold up really, really well. And of course it has Springfield's lifetime warranty, so you're going to be good there. Really nice pistol. This particular one sells for $729. Okay, we've got them. There's another barrel length, 4.5 inches. Not legal for deer season, but you could use it for other purposes. We got a run of those that are a special run. Same setup essentially as this, but 4.5-inch barrels. They're in flat dark earth. They're in that $600 bracket. So not horribly expensive guns for what you're getting out of them. Really good platform. Really fun to shoot. Accurate, reliable, powerful, and powerful across some range. You can shoot comfortably. You can go up to the heavy stuff if you need it. A lot of flexibility in this cartridge. Okay, so by the way, 10 millimeter used to be, as you probably know, not that popular. Weren't very many guns. Originally, I think there were like maybe 3 guns made for it. So when we decided to look at this, I took just a quick look the other day, and I didn't count everything, but there's at least 20 manufacturers making 10 millimeter guns these days. And several of those manufacturers are making multiple models of 10 millimeter. So it has really, really jumped up in popularity in the last couple of years for some really good reasons. We think you'll like it. Come take a look, see what you think. Check us out, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Old English Outfitters. So for now, I'm Alan, and until next time, stay safe and we'll see you.